Hello and welcome to Team Leadership. This module is called Facilitation and Team Dynamics. As a manager or supervisor, you may or may not have direct responsibility for a team, but you will without a doubt be called upon to facilitate situations between and among employees and management. If you have developed the skills to be an effective facilitator, you'll be able to bring together a diverse group of individuals to work towards a common goal. The skills you will obtain in this module will ensure you gain positive results, build consensus, and use problem-solving tools. We will discuss the skills needed to be a good facilitator, various leadership styles depending on circumstances, and also provide you with some problem-solving tools that you can use when working with your team. Let's talk first about facilitation skills. What does it take to be a successful facilitator? Certainly, you need some technical skills, organizational skills, and good communication skills. Let's brainstorm a list of skills needed to be an effective facilitator. First of all, teamwork. A good facilitator needs to be able to manage a team. They need an understanding of what makes an effective team and where a team can go wrong. They need to inspire team members to work together, to make effective assignments, follow through with team members, and praise and recognize effort. Communication skills. One of the primary traits that a facilitator needs is to be able to communicate well, both verbally and in writing. Much of being a facilitator means discussing, describing, motivating, and exchanging information between a group. Most facilitation of projects requires writing agendas, minutes of meetings, memos, proposals, and progress reports, so you will need to be a clear and concise writer, or have access to a team member who is a good writer. Leadership skills. A good facilitator needs to be able to get work done through other people. That means coordinating, negotiating, following up regularly, and monitoring the progress of other people's work. It usually means facilitating strategy sessions, brainstorming sessions, and progress meetings. Self-development. A good facilitator knows that everyone needs to constantly sharpen their skills. Skills that they do not possess can be acquired through study, on-the-job practice, mentoring, or classroom time. Personal efficiency. It takes a lot of effort to facilitate the work of several people. You are usually assigned projects in addition to your regular full-time work, so being efficient is essential. Time management, productivity, delegation, streamlining business processes, and process management are all important components of efficiency. Technical skills. While you don't have to be the technical expert, you need to know enough about the topic at hand. You need breadth of knowledge skills to know a little bit about everything, as well as depth of knowledge skills, knowing a lot about a few areas of expertise. Attitude. A good facilitator has an upbeat, positive attitude. As a role model, you will need to maintain composure even in stressful situations. Professionalism at all times, a can-do attitude, and always representing the organization in a positive manner are all examples of having a positive attitude. Responsibility. Facilitation requires that you guide the team and accept full responsibility for getting work accomplished. This requires accountability for yourself and your team members. Your job as a facilitator is to encourage participation, to pull out employees who may be sitting back and listening, and ensure that their voice is heard. You want to validate people's opinions by saying something like, "That's a good point." If you're not going to accept the point, you may want to tell them why. You also need to guide discussion and encourage innovation. We'll provide you with some problem-solving tools that will help brainstorming. Sometimes you need to resolve conflict, build consensus, certainly record results, and hold people accountable. We'll give you tools for doing that. Leadership styles. Let's talk about the various styles and when they are most appropriate. According to Daniel Goleman, in Leadership That Gets Results, there are 6 different styles of leadership: commanding, visionary, affiliative, democratic, pace-setting, and coaching. Let's talk about each of these styles. Commanding. Commanding is when you demand compliance by saying something like, "Do this now or else." It's very forceful, it's very direct, it's very aggressive. It works for the short term, however, if you have to demand compliance to get something accomplished. But if this is your style 100% of the time, people are going to shy away from you and aren't going to want to work with you. Visionary. Visionary leaders inspire and get commitment. They are able to look out into the horizon and tell employees what the goal is, saying something like, "This is our goal, join me." Visionary leaders are important in terms of seeing goals and moving people forward towards that goal. However, if you stay in the visionary phase by sitting around, putting your feet up, and dreaming about the future, nothing gets accomplished. So visionary leaders need to also be able to implement decisions quickly and effectively. Affiliative. Affiliative leaders are supporting and nurturing. They always understand what employees are going through and are empathetic towards their personal agenda. They'll say something like, "I know everyone's busy and I appreciate your help." So it's always being nurturing and supportive and not putting excessive demands on employees. This is great, except for sometimes you can be rolled over by employees who share their personal issues with you. So yes, it's important to be empathetic and support your employees, but you don't want them to take advantage of you. Democratic. Democratic leaders build consensus and ask for opinion and get input. This is a wonderful process in that employees feel comfortable offering their suggestions and ideas. However, just because you've asked their opinion doesn't mean the decision is up to them. So it's important to be clear that your input is sought. However, you are the final decision maker in most situations. Pace setting. Pace setting managers motivate and drive. They ask employees to come along with them and pick up the speed in order to get results accomplished within a certain deadline. Sometimes this works when you're trying to achieve short-term goals that employees will become more motivated and rise to the occasion. However, if this is your style all the time, some employees might not want to move that quickly and may become frustrated in working with you. And coaching. Coaching is probably the best style that you want to engage in as much as possible. It's giving feedback and encouragement, saying things like, "Try this." Coaching means keeping people on track, monitoring their progress, and giving them very specific, direct information on how to improve their performance. Coaching is one of the most important skills associated with facilitation. Now let's talk about some tools you may want to use when you're facilitating group meetings. The first tool is team ground rules. This is something you probably want to engage in when you're establishing your relationship with team members. This is especially important when you're working with a remote work team. When establishing team ground rules, you want to start with the organization's vision, mission, and values, and then determine how you can support those values through specific behaviors. But you can also establish your own values and guidelines which the team thinks are important. Behavioral standards in terms of how quickly you should respond to an email, service requirements and service standards in terms of getting back to clients and customers. These are all important aspects of setting ground rules. That way, team members know what to expect and you can hold them accountable. Another great tool to use is brainstorming. Brainstorming is the process of generating new ideas and solutions for problems that are plaguing your organization or your team. People can think more freely and suggest as many spontaneous ideas as possible. All the ideas are noted down without criticism, and then ideas are evaluated. Some of the rules for brainstorming are quantity over quality. Think about as many ideas as possible before you filter through the ideas and determine what the best quality idea is. No judgment. That will limit the ideas that do get generated. Wild ideas are encouraged. You never know where the good ideas are going to come from. And also, build on the ideas of others. Go out on a tangent and explore fully an idea that someone comes up with. If you're physically in the room together, you can use a flip chart or a whiteboard to jot down the ideas that are generated through brainstorming. You can also use a flip chart for presenting information. And if someone comes up with a topic that's unrelated to the meeting at hand, you can park topics. Also, another good use for whiteboards is for updates on team projects. Obviously, this is while you're in the office together. When employees are working remotely, you're going to have to think creatively about how to generate ideas and how to track and monitor your progress. And after your meetings, generate action plans. Action plans are organizational strategies for identifying necessary steps towards a goal. It includes details like who, what, where, when, and other such details. It can also help manage resources, and those resources are typically time, people, and money. And basically, putting someone's name and a date associated with the task they are to complete helps keep people accountable. An action plan could be as simple as sending an email to people saying, these are the 5 tasks we're going to work on, and this is the due date specifically. Polls or ranking or asking people to raise their hand if they have some input on this topic is a good way to keep people engaged. Sometimes when you have staff meetings, especially if they're on Zoom and there are 30 or more people, it's hard to keep people engaged in the meeting. And so if you can have a raise of hands of how many people feel this way, or a poll that's on Zoom or the webinar platform you're using, that could be a good way to put your finger on the pulse of how the team is feeling about various issues. Mind mapping is a tool that can be used to brainstorm various issues relating to a problem. It helps visually organize the information, showing relationships among pieces of the whole. It's often created around a single concept in the center of a blank page. From there, you can branch out. On each branch, brainstorm the individual issues or concerns. This shows associated ideas with images, words, and phrases. Major ideas are connected directly to the central concept, and you branch out from other subordinate ideas. This exercise helps to organize your thoughts and group related issues. The tool can be used much like brainstorming, except that it provides some structure to the free flow of ideas. Swim lanes or swim lane diagram is used in flowcharts. It distinguishes responsibilities for sub-processes of a business process. You can list them either horizontally or vertically. And a fishbone diagram or cause and effect diagram is also known as a Ishikawa diagram, named after the person who originated it. It is helpful to systematically identify and categorize issues surrounding a specific problem. You start out listing the problem or defect as the fish's head. Then the root causes extend from the spine as fishbones. Generally, there are 6 categories associated to the fishbone diagram: materials, equipment, procedures, measurements, the environment, and people, although you can also create other categories as appropriate. Most every issue that arises will fit into one of these categories. If one category tends to dominate the diagram, you probably need to go back and redefine the problem more specifically. After the issues have been identified, you need to collect data to substantiate your ideas about where the situation has gone wrong. Let's talk a bit about team dynamics. The size of the team plays an important role in the results that your team can achieve. In smaller groups, less than 7, the group is more manageable. Meetings can be called at short notice, and the group can brainstorm ideas. Group agreement can be obtained easily. These meetings or video calls can be kept brief and productive, and many problems can be resolved in a short time. However, meetings of this size rarely include all necessary decision makers, nor are enough diverse members included. You'll want to include a variety of people that have an interest in the project you're working on. Don't exclude members of key departments, particularly if the issue concerns them directly. For example, a team meeting to resolve issues regarding the computer system should definitely involve someone from the IT department. Group dynamics can impact the effectiveness of a team. Teams that are ridden with hidden agendas, personality clashes, and poor communication are doomed for failure. Little gets accomplished, and this reflects poorly on your management abilities. Making the most of group dynamics means respecting the value that every team member brings to the table. You don't want every person to be the same or think the same. You want diversity. Various modes of thinking, diverse backgrounds, experiences, expertise, and skills all amount to a more creative, innovative team. If people feel like they're not being respected or their ideas aren't being respected, they will not come forth with new ideas. If the leadership style is dominating and controlling, team members will be fearful of being ridiculed, and the result will be apathy. Even a well-intentioned team can meet with disaster when different types of personalities clash or people become uncooperative. So much can go wrong with a team. It is a wonder that any team functions at all. But an awareness of common problems and practical solutions for dealing with these problems can help in creating a positive team environment. Let's talk about addressing some of those employee issues that may come up in meetings. As a facilitator, you have the power to turn around a negative working environment. There are several kinds of behavior that may arise in a team setting, and as a team facilitator, you must control divergent personalities. Let's talk about a couple of different types of behavior and some reasons why these behaviors exist. We'll also talk about some proven means to curb and control these behaviors, particularly in a meeting environment. Overly talkative. This person may be an eager beaver or a show-off. They may be well-informed and anxious to show it, or they may just be naturally talkative. The solution would be to not embarrass them or be sarcastic. You may need their contribution later. Slow the person down with some difficult questions. Interrupt them with, "That's an interesting point. Now let's see what the group thinks." In general, let the group take care of this person as much as possible. Side conversation. The conversation may be related to the subject or it may be personal. This type of behavior is very distracting. The solution again would be to not embarrass these people. Call one by name and ask a simple question. Restate the last opinion expressed and ask them about their opinion. And if it's an important topic but is not pertinent to the meeting at hand, park the topic on a flip chart or a whiteboard and set up another meeting to discuss it. Another situation is if someone is definitely wrong and comes up with a comment that is obviously incorrect. Solution is to handle this type of person carefully to avoid alienating or embarrassing them. Try saying something like, "I see how you feel, that's one way of looking at it," and set the person straight. Even though you know the remark is totally incorrect, don't say that. Another common situation is the rambler. This person talks about everything but the actual subject at hand. The rambler uses far-fetched analogies and gets lost very easily. The solution is, when this person stops for breath, interrupt them and thank them for their input, but refocus the group's attention by restating the relevant points and moving on. Personality clash. If two or more members clash over ideas, be sure to resolve this problem quickly, or else it can divide your group into factions. Emphasize points of agreement between clashing parties and minimize the points of disagreement. Try to find common ground. If someone is stubborn and refuses to compromise, the person may have reasons for doing so. The solution is to ask them about their underlying reasons for their opinion, and let them know you'll be happy to discuss the matter later, but insist that everyone accept the group's viewpoint, at least for the moment. Another common problem is someone who's hesitant to offer their ideas. This person may be bored, indifferent, or be timid and insecure. The solution will depend on what you believe is motivating the person. If you feel that they are bored, stimulate their interest by asking them for an opinion. If they appear timid or insecure, boost their confidence by saying something like, "You're aware of this situation as an expert in this position. What is your opinion?" Your job as a facilitator is to address employee issues and make sure that everyone in the meeting feels that it's run in a respectful and productive manner. In summary, it's important for you to develop your skills for facilitation and understand team dynamics. And remember leadership styles. Each leadership style is appropriate in certain situations. Engagement with your employees is key, and so try some of the tools that we talked about the next time you run a team meeting. Thank you for your participation. This has been a presentation of i2i Workplace, Team Leadership, Facilitation, and Team Dynamics.